Clive Barker Podcast Audio Commentaries.
Thanks to your generous donations to our Kickstarter funding campaign, Clive Barker Podcast presents Fundraiser 6, Bill Seeker.
Welcome to episode 228. It's another commentary episode for The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, episodes 9 and 10. And the 9th episode is called The Returned Man. So again, this is me, Joe, and Ryan.
Hey. Yeah, so we'll start
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So it's Sabrina recruits Roz for a crucial mission. Susie reconnects with her past, and Lord Blackwood challenges Aunt Zelda's authority.
Yeah, it's kind of those descriptions on are pretty vague a lot of the time on, and so that's. I'm trying to think of when did Lord Blackwood even challenge her authority, but I guess we'll find out.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's Saturday morning as usual, so we're both a little out of it. But I got some notes here, and I think the 9th episode was the one I enjoyed the most so far. It's pretty good.
Yeah. We'll get into it as soon as we get started. But So I have it paused on the Netflix logo, and we'll get it started here in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, here we go.
Hey, so it seems like this episode, The Returned Man, it was one of the ones I enjoyed the best. Actually, it was pretty good. And there's going to be a lot of changes here. There are some plot lines that I didn't see develop this season, and I'm guessing they're saving it for season 2, like the witch hunter stuff, right? I mean, the guy who got murdered and Ambrose was investigating that.
Yeah, and I think that maybe Ambrose is being distracted, by being allowed back into the School of Night, that Ambrose is being distracted from investigating that, because as soon as he got allowed back in the School of Night, that investigation he was doing is kind of put by the wayside. So I wonder if maybe it's not a witch hunter at all, and maybe it was some kind of a plot by the School of Night that killed that guy.
Yeah, it could be something related to the reform of the Church of Night that Faustus Blackwood wants to do. He seems like he's got some weird motives, and so far I haven't seen anything that really proves that he is in contact with the Dark Lord.
That's true, yeah. I think, didn't he have wasn't there an episode where like his fireplaces, the fire got really big, and wasn't he hearing something from the Dark Lord?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm.
I can't remember now, but
yeah. So this is an interesting opening for the episode, right? I mean, when the other one ended, it was kind of a monkey's paw ending. So it's like that Tommy's on the other side of the door knocking, and you think it's going to open the door and be Tommy like covered in weeds and dirt and stuff, but instead they just cut forward and they use that same shot to bring in Sabrina. So
yeah. So they kind of skipped past the scary part.
Yeah. Doc Fibes, checked him out.
Yeah.
Clear reference there to Vincent Price, Abominable Dr. Fibes. Have you noticed? What?
Was that a Hammer movie, or that's probably older than Hammer?
Yeah, it might have been a Hammer movie. Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in decades. All I remember is Vincent Price playing the organ, with that horrible.
Oh crap! So Gise's. Yep. Hey, are you back? Okay. Lost you for a second.
Yep, I'm right here.
Okay.
All good. I'm back, just like Tommy.
Yeah.
Have you noticed how many lamps are in the houses in this episode, and
Yeah.
it's still always dark in there?
Yeah, because it seems like nobody has overhead lights. They all have like little table lamps,
Lamps.
and there's a
Yeah.
sconce over there in the hallway.
Yeah, but even so, I mean, sometimes there's a room where there's like 4 or 5 of them,
Yeah.
and it's still dark. And it's
Yeah.
like, guys, get better lamps. Seriously.
Yeah.
So here's Ambrose getting all excited about going back to the School of Academy of Unseen Arts.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Yeah, he's been 75 years under home arrest for trying to blow up the Vatican.
Yeah.
Oh, here's Zelda. Zelda's having the affair with the Faustus Blackwood. So
Yeah.
he's just wiping up that writing crop.
Yeah.
I wonder what they were up to.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that they talk about how much witches used to be polyamorous and not monogamous at all. And
Yeah.
we kind of saw that in the previous episode where Prudence and her sisters are just, doing an orgy with the boys at the school in a room at one point. And it seems like it still is that way. I don't know why the higher up you go, I guess the more monogamous you become, or maybe it's just his wife that doesn't like that.
Well, and Nicholas Scratch even tells her, I think in the next episode, that he envies what Harvey and Sabrina have, because the witches, seem to only have lust, but they don't have love.
Yeah, they have to save all their love for the Dark Lord.
Because he's jealous.
Mm-hmm. And there's something here that I have to bring up. It kind of really is about episode 10, but here he asks Zelda if she could be his son's godmother or night mother. And at this point, we know that Lady Blackwood is pregnant with twins, and everybody knows that it's going to be twins, and it's been announced that they're going to be twins. And then when it happens, when she goes into labor in episode 10, there's going to be kind of like a twist, and then people are just going to be like, oh, okay, that makes sense, I guess. But it doesn't really make any sense at all, but we'll get to that in episode 10. I like Ambrose's room, though. It's so full of stuff. And look at that lamp. Is that like a train or something? Like a red train?
Oh, wow.
It looked like it, like the base of the lamp. Yeah, man coming back from the dead is big news. And it's stupid the way that she continues to minimize, what she did. It's like, no, it's okay. He actually dug himself out of the mines, and he's like, what are you talking about? It's like,
I see that bizarre lamp now. It's got got a face on it.
It does, right? I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
It looks like a train, but it's got this weird like shape. Oh, and look at this. Like, they're praying like Catholic schoolgirls. That's it's like the Church of Night is this mirror image of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
They even say amen at the end of the prayer. Oh, crap.
I know.
Yeah, that's Agatha. She's spewing up the dirt from the cane pit where they buried her to bring her back. Now, of course, there's a price to pay. So Tommy's back, but Agatha's going to be feeling the effects of, the lack of balance in life and death.
Yeah, and it's gonna just keep getting worse for Agatha, they say, and then until she dies, and Sabrina doesn't want to face that truth.
Yeah. Oh, here's Nick Scratch astral projecting into Sabrina's room.
Yeah.
And you remember when Ambrose did it? It was kind of like a big deal thing. It's like. And now it's going to be, from this episode on, it's like everybody's just going to astral project whenever they want to.
Yeah. Yeah. And for Ambrose, of course, it was scary because the psycho pumps can get you, but it was also a bad thing for him to do because he was breaking his house arrest.
Oh, yeah. So I wonder what the psycho pumps are.
I know, yeah. I was kind of hoping to see one turn into its like real true form or whatever, so they don't just look like the little birds.
I wonder if it's like one of those like weird creatures from Ghost that drags people,
Oh yeah,
drags
yeah.
ghosts back to hell or something.
Those little shadowy guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was also we get teased with something called the Soul Eater in Limbo.
Right, which was a scene that reminded me of The Thief of Always when Karna is trying to get Harvey before he crosses the fog.
Oh yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah. Hey, I got a black cat here with me too.
Yeah.
Actually, she's taking a nap right now. I think she heard me. She started licking her paw. And it seems like she understands him, even
Yeah.
though they only show meows from the cat.
Yeah.
She sometimes has a conversation with him.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But a little later on in the next episode, Mrs. Wardwell will be talking to her crow familiar, and he
Stolas, yeah.
Stolas, yeah, and he talks back.
Right. She says, you have to stop crowing and just say what you want to say. And then he says something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like a Pet Cemetery kind of moment here.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes dead is better.
Yeah.
And they don't really, like, for the sake of the story, sometimes I'm not going to call it lazy story writing, but they skim over a lot of things for the sake of speeding up the storyline. For example, so we never see anybody in the town, like, first of all, we never see Doc Fibes check up Tommy, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
that would be one of those things which is like, it was a big deal. The mines collapsed and,
Yeah.
the mines collapsed and all the town was there, and it was like they're trying to rescue the miners. They're still taking miners out of the mine, and the fact that one of them came back, it seems like nobody cares. It's like no longer a big deal. It's just, okay, yeah, Tommy got back,
Yeah.
We don't see anything about how amazing this would be. We just see him like be walking around the locked room, just like Uncle Jesse, who's obviously possessed and covered in sores and stuff. And
it would have been in the news, you would think.
Yeah.
And yeah. And the same thing for later on too, with what happens to him.
And here's Susie. She continually talks to her ancestor and Dorothea, and I wasn't sure at first if this was supposed to be.
She had a painting of Terry cats on her wall. Look behind her.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh, she does. There she is. Yeah, on top of her bed. Yeah.
Woohoo. We're doing our job.
Yep. And so at first I thought that her speaking to Dorothea was basically just her reading the diaries and just kind of like in a symbolic way talking to the ghost of her. But no, it seems like she actually does see her dead ancestor, and she's totally fine with it.
That is a Japanese newspaper, yeah.
Yeah, right. How do you read those? Like right to left, up to down?
Yeah.
And it's weird that they did this for this episode because I don't remember her reading Japanese newspapers before. It seems like they just thought, let's mix it up here and let's have her reading a Japanese one. I mean, why not?
They probably had her reading the same newspaper several times, and now it's like, well, let's really switch it up.
She became the directrix of the Infernal Choir.
Yeah.
She's moving on up the Church of Night.
Yeah, it would be so obnoxious to have people smoking in the house. It's like, it's been so long since anybody's had to deal with that.
Yeah, that's interesting that they put her smoking in a lot of scenes here where right now, I mean, on TV, but this is Netflix, but on TV, cable TV, smoking has pretty much disappeared.
Yeah. Well, and I think in life, most of us aren't used to people smoking in the house, not since like the 80s.
Yeah. So here's Sabrina at Mrs. Wardwell's office to bring back the Book of the Dead that she borrowed
Yeah.
with bunny ears.
Yeah.
And of course, Wardwell is here and she knows about what she did because she felt it. I like Lilith's story arc. I think it's a
Yeah.
really amazing story arc. She's a very intriguing character.
Yeah, there's a lot of like you start sympathizing with her, and then she does something horrible, and it's like, oh, okay, never mind. Because she's always trying to help Sabrina, but then you realize that, oh no, she's got her own reasons, and her reasons are pretty horrible.
Right. So after this episode, you realize that she would never help Sabrina. All she was doing was manipulating her towards the path of the Dark Lord.
Yeah. But in the short term, she helps her with her little problems as long as they align with what she's trying to do.
I felt like what she did should have been what Faustus would have been doing. I mean, I feel like
That's
that
true.
should have been Faustus's role. Instead, Faustus is just this kind of so far in the show, Faustus has become this. I wouldn't call him deluded, but he's just a dude.
Yeah,
He's just a very selfish, self-interested guy that runs the Academy of Unseen Arts. It doesn't seem to have any plans.
He's probably not really worthy of,
Yeah.
of being in the position that he's in. And it's all show. And then on top of that, he doesn't even want Sabrina to be in the academy at all, and he's only doing it grudgingly.
Yes. So that makes me think at some point, maybe on season 2, maybe Faustus will have to go through something, because his idea of like reforming the Church of Night, he keeps trying to change the way people behave and stuff.
Yeah.
So it would have been cool if that's kind of silly, but I was going to say that Sabrina would end up overseeing the Academy of Unseen Arts, but she's too young for that.
Yeah, and now you mention it, it seems like Faustus, he says that the Dark Lord instructed him to return to the old ways. But it seems like he's really more interested in just kind of undoing what the previous administration did, which
That's a good one.
It kind of reminds me of some current political stuff going on.
Yeah, and here's Roz telling her what she saw in a dream last night, which was she dreamt that she was in the middle of a fog and there were people around, and she saw Tommy Kinkle being eaten by 2 dogs.
Yeah.
Which is basically a vision of limbo, apparently. That's where Tommy's soul is, in limbo. So the cunning, again, not the shining or the shining or whatever, but it's the cunning. So she gets to see these things now. And she's freaking out a little more than Susie. Susie's like, oh, I can see my dead ancestor. That's all fine and dandy. Which is like weird. Like, okay, you're not upset that you're seeing ghosts. You go in with it. That's fine. But Roz is like freaking out about the whole cunning thing.
And Susie is the only one that doesn't come clean. Everybody else tells their friends about all these crazy things going on in their lives. And she's always like, oh, Dorothea wrote about this in her journal. She'll never come out and say, oh, yeah, I'm talking to her.
Yeah. So here's Ambrose. He got a new familiar from Faustus, and it's funny because it's a mouse and it's called Leviathan.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if there's going to be any sort of clash between Leviathan and Salem, because it's a white mouse and a black cat.
Oh.
The apostate gospels, not to be confused with the scarlet ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a Clive Barker painting.
With the tentacles.
But there was a one with a fire on the other wall.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad it's blurry.
Yeah, it was a tentacle monster back there, and then there was the other one. And here we got some scenes of Luke and Ambrose getting it on.
Yeah.
In the headmaster's office, no less.
Oh. Yeah. So, you must be back now, huh? I heard the sounds of your call dropping out. Hello? Jose, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
cool.
here.
All right, awesome.
So it seems like she's throwing up dirt and turnips, and then they just bring a turnip up. Is
Yeah.
that like?
Look at the size
weird.
of that thing, too. That would be really hard to choke that up.
Yeah, and the other girl was eating it.
Was she really?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought she took a bite of it.
Oh, God.
I just love Aunt Hilda. This whole
Yeah.
bookstore, the Cerebus Pit or whatever they
Yeah.
call it. It's awesome. It's just so cool.
Yeah, this is another. You're talking about subplots that don't pay off. Why is she shoplifting here?
She was shoplifting a book by Virginia Woolf called Orlando, which is about this person who reincarnates through the ages. I think I've never read the book, so I'm kind of at a loss here. But I remember seeing a part of the movie when it was adapted, and I think who was in it? Who played Orlando? I think it might have been Tilda Swinton. Let me check that. And I just love the way Aunt Zelda intervenes here. Because she basically reveals why this guy's a bully, because he was abused as a child, and so he just wants to inflict that pain on everybody else. Yep,
Yeah.
It was Tilda Swinton. Yep, 1992.
Wow.
Yep. Okay, so it's in 1600, nobleman Orlando, played by Tilda Swinton, inherits his parents' house thanks to Queen Elizabeth I, who commands the young man to never change. After a disastrous affair with Russian Princess Sasha, Orlando looks for solace in the arts before being appointed ambassador to Constantinople in 1700, where war is raging. One morning, Orlando is shocked to wake up as a woman and returns home struggling as a female to retain her property as the centuries roll by.
Oh.
So it's about a non-binary character, which is kind of
Yeah.
what Susie is.
So she's trying to shoplift it because she's embarrassed to buy it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I think it's weird that they call Aunt Zelda to check up on Agatha here, and did they tell her the whole story?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
So at this point, she's kind of in on everything that happened.
Too much earth in her system.
Yeah.
That poor girl.
Yeah. Boy, we're having a difficult call. Okay. Hey, are you back?
Alka-Seltzer for a woman who
Yeah.
came back from the dead. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. But the call dropped
Hey,
out
you're still there?
a couple of times.
Yo, I'm back.
Yeah. No, can you hear me? I'm here.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
It's just Skype is being really glitchy today,
Yeah.
so we'll just soldier on.
Yeah. I
So,
think when this episode's over, let's redo the call and see if hopefully that fixes it.
Okay. Yeah, so basically Agatha is getting worse and worse because, of course, the ground wants a soul, so it's taking back Agatha since Tommy's soul is no longer in his body. That's the way I interpreted that. Oh, this is cool. Boink.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The film was sped up, I guess.
sure. Yeah, and nobody seems to wonder why. Wouldn't you bring Dr. Fibes again and see what's wrong?
Yeah.
Seems like you've been coughing a lot.
Yeah.
Are you doing okay?
Yeah. No, my throat was closing up.
So Ross has the cunning, right? So what they did was, why don't you try using your cunning on Tommy? And which seems like a really bad idea, but here we go. So she's going to get a vision of Limbo. And she sees something else. I think she sees a zombie lady. Like, I think that's one of the 13 witches that we'll find out more in the next episode.
Right.
What do you think about their idea of Limbo here?
Yeah, that it's a place full of like unbaptized babies. It's almost like they're they're admitting that, you know, the Catholicism has it right.
Yeah, they're going to explain later that there's two limbos, one for mortals or humans, and the other one for witches. I think the baby crying reminded me a little bit of the Kirsty nightmare scene in Hellraiser.
Yeah, it did.
When she sees like the soul of her dad like stuck in limbo or something.
And I think you also hear that baby crying when people are wandering around in hell in Hellraiser 2.
Yes, that's right. I think it's just an upsetting sound for anybody, you know, a baby crying.
Yeah, it's like something that you can't do anything about.
Why is Harvey's dad such a jerk?
I know.
It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
That's like, what? It's your son's friends from high school. They can't come over? It's like... Mm-hmm. And not to mention the whole cemetery argument that they had, like in the previous episode, was just so embarrassing and terrible.
Yeah, it's a complicated relationship that she has with Harvey, because he can't come over to her house because he'll see all the witchy stuff, and she can't go over to Harvey's house because Harvey's dad is a jerk.
Here she is talking to her. Susie's talking to her ancestor again.
Yeah.
Even her dad walked in the previous scene like, who are you talking to? And that's when I realized, oh, she is really talking to her. It's not just a matter of reading the journals and pretending like she's, summoning.
Yeah.
There's a picture of Oscar Wilde on the wall there.
Oh. I wonder if she still has the Terry cats above her bed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they brought back the miners' corpses, and they're taking care of that in the basement.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why Tommy hasn't been hungry so far after he came back from the dead, which is a really, really nasty reason why.
Yeah, so if your soul gets stuck in limbo, you turn into like a ghoul.
That's what it looks like. Yeah. Maybe your body just goes into autopilot, and wherever you can find food, you just eat whatever's in front of you.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably what you said, that they turn into kind of a ghoul. Tommy has a few moments where he looks away from staring straight ahead, and he just looks to someone and just goes back to being him. Yeah. So it feels like there's something going on underneath that. I actually thought that he was going to be possessed by some sort of demon or something, but that's just not the case.
So Harvey got smushed up by rocks, but then she resurrected him. But he, even after that, and after he ate those other miners' corpses and stuff, his clothes and everything, he didn't have any blood on him.
Right. That's the part I was complaining, that they just kind of skimmed through that, which seems like it would be a big deal. Hey, Tommy Kinkle, sole survivor of the Greendale mine, thing. And also those witches, the mean sisters or whatever they're called.
Yeah, the weird sisters.
The weird sisters. Doesn't seem like their spell was very efficient at all because they just wanted to kill those two guys, but they ended up killing a bunch of other miners.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're playing a song from that musical. The music and
oh God, what is that? It's about that nanny woman who could fly
Sound of
around with
Music.
her umbrella.
No, it's The Sound of Music. You're thinking about
Yeah,
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins. I thought it was from Mary
Yeah.
Poppins.
No, it's got the same actress though. Yeah, it's got
okay.
the same actress. I think this is The Sound of Music. You know, the one where she goes to tutor like these kids from Rich Guy.
Oh, okay.
And then they sing all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here we go.
Now everybody knows.
And one of the things I find silly is that Sabrina is still not signed her name in the Book of Shadows, right? The Book of the Beast.
Yeah.
But she still has enough power to be able to resurrect someone from the dead. And she's 16.
Yeah.
So we all know that she's supposed to be the one.
Yeah.
But if she can do that, that seems like really powerful magic, like necromancy and stuff. So.
Yeah. And you kind of find out in the next episode what the Dark Lord's goal is with her. But it's interesting. She reminds me of Blade a little bit, right? Because she's only half witch and half mortal, but it seems like it makes her more powerful than any of the other witches. Kind of like Blade being half vampire makes him better than all vampires.
That's a good point. I wonder if that part of the human side that she has is the one that's amplifying her power. So there we go. That's where you see the bite marks. Yeah, those are bite marks.
But he didn't actually take chunks out of them. I mean, those are just like bites, but he didn't tear anything off.
Yeah, I guess that was just special effects, like economy there. Maybe they just didn't want to have to make an entire prosthetic arm and take a chunk out of it. It seems more like just makeup on someone than actually, like you said, a chunk bit out of someone.
Yeah, it gets the point across because you can tell really obviously those are human bite marks, but at the same time he can't be full from that. And
just get rid of this guy. Just get rid of this character. I mean, the Kinkle dad is such a jerk, and is like, he's a half character because his job is just to be a jerk, and he never really interferes in anything. He never shows up when he's needed in scenes where he should be there. Sometimes he's not, and it's like he's just here just to make us feel sorry for Harvey. Yeah, right. I mean, there's even at the point where he should be feeling sorry for feeling sad because his son died. It's like it's only there just a little bit, but mostly he's just a jerk, trying to collect the insurance money and and he's as much of a bad father as they want to make him out to be. We never really see him be violent except for now. Now he was violent, and at the funeral he was violent. That's true. But it seems like life for Harvey should be worse than it is. I mean, well, his brother always got in between them. That's true. And stopped him from. Here, give your brother who just came back from the mines this weird water in a jug that I brought you. Yeah. It's like, what? Sabrina, stop saying he's going to get better. He's not. And all signs point to no. Just shake that magic 8-ball. Yeah, she just cannot get over the fact that something she did was a screw up. Yeah, like you said, you mentioned the word hubris. And it is. It really is. And this is going to be her downfall in this episode. Yeah, and even now she's like, well, I'll just go fix it, Yeah, I'm just going to go into limbo. Yeah. It's like, what? How would you even know? It just seems like she finds finds out these things from books, and then she's like, okay, I got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have no idea. You just discovered you were a
Yeah.
witch, like on your 16th birthday, which was probably what? I don't know how long it's supposed to have taken,
Yeah.
but maybe like a couple of months.
Right, and she can do things that other witches don't even consider. Like,
Yeah.
and part of it is Mrs. Wardwell, Lilith guiding her.
I think they're trying to make it seem like she doesn't know that she shouldn't do some things, and that's why she
Yeah.
goes ahead and does them.
Yeah.
It's not so much that witches couldn't do some things. It's more like they don't do them because they know they shouldn't.
It,
And
it seems like also
yeah.
a large part of the world of being a witch was sort of hidden from her until her birthday.
Yeah.
So she spent the first 15 years of her lives, she's probably knowing that these people were witches, but she couldn't see anything was going on around her.
It didn't seem that way, did it? Though in the first few episodes, it just seems like they had a funeral home, and then they make really nice teas, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was weird. It feels like all
Yeah.
of a sudden she has access to all this like knowledge that she shouldn't.
Yeah.
By the way, I had here in my notes that when Blackwood tells the Weird Sisters, she tells them to Agatha is puking up soil, and he says, "Just take her to the infernal infirmary." And I was like, "The infernal infirmary, really?"
Say that 5 times fast.
Everything is either shadow, night, or infernal, or ungodly in this show.
Unholy.
And of course, here it's Zelda telling her, "You messed it up. There's no way you can fix this. Someone has to die."
Yeah. It's funny. I remember when I was in high school playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I had this evil cleric, and he had unholy water. And my friend, the DM, was like, "So that's just regular water." Okay,
Unholy. Oh, I get it. Because it wasn't blessed. Well, it was blessed, but it was ungodly blessed.
Right,
you know?
right. He was just, making fun of it because it was kind of stupid, unholy
But what would you use unholy water for?
Same thing that a regular priest would use holy water for, I guess. If
Okay.
you're being attacked by good creatures, you could throw unholy water on them.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. Ooh, bam!
Yeah.
Like she just told her Aunt Zelda she's not her mom, and she,
Yeah.
which it kind of is. She raised you from a baby, so
Yeah.
those aunts are like two mothers. And it's another one of those moments where you think, Sabrina, what are you doing?
Yeah.
She's got a few hard lessons to learn.
So I thought when I watched this series the first time through when it first aired, I thought that these, the next episode, what happens with the 13 witches, was a result of this, but it really isn't. It has nothing to do with this. What happened in this episode?
Right. That was Lilith that brought that about.
Yeah, and nobody asks or questions. Hey, wait, why is this happening?
Well, they explain it a little bit in the episode 10, but I guess we'll get to that.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
I would hate to have to duck into that little door under the stairs, every time he has to go to work.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how much
that's
he'd be
weird.
like hitting his head and stuff going in there?
Yeah.
And how do they get the corpses down there? Well, I guess we talked about that before.
We did. They probably bring him out the back or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
There might be another way of going there, but it is a weird house.
Yeah.
So as usual, she goes to Mrs. Wardwell because nobody else can help you except Mrs. Wardwell,
Yeah.
who she just met like a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's when she came out as
A witch.
I mean, she's not even a witch.
right. She would be great as Julia in like a Hellraiser remake.
Oh,
I think.
yeah.
She would make a great Julia.
She would.
Okay, wait. My familiar is knocking something here. If you hear a door banging, that's my cat.
Okay. Yeah, I did hear something.
Okay, Lucifer, stop that.
The Dark Lord.
Lucifer, the Dark.
Yeah.
More like the Dark Queen.
Yeah.
So here she is explaining what the limbo is, and that not just the souls wander there lost forever in this weird, like, foggy area, but there's a monster that eats them.
That's pretty harsh.
The soul eater.
So if there's a bunch of unbaptized babies, does it just wander around eating babies?
Probably. I mean, that's pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing about limbo, I think that comes from either the Divine Comedy or Paradise Lost or something like that. Because I don't think that's on the Bible at all about limbo.
Well, I think but isn't it? I think it's a part of the Catholic belief system that's kind of where everybody's just waiting. Limbo is being in the grave and just waiting for Judgment Day.
Right.
Because according to Catholicism, nobody's going to heaven until Judgment Day, so everybody's just kind of waiting around.
Well, you mean the people in limbo?
Yeah. Well, anybody.
Wait, but people go to hell after they die, and people go to heaven after they die, and some get stuck in limbo, right?
No, I think in Catholicism, what I understand is that everybody's waiting until Judgment Day.
I don't think that's
limbo
correct.
is just being in your grave.
Okay. I think that's just for people who are like unbaptized or they never learned about Jesus and all that stuff. Like the people who live in an island in the Pacific, if they died, they would have gone to limbo.
Well, that's what it was in the Divine Comedy.
Oh, it says here in Catholic theology, limbo is a doctrine concerning the afterlife condition of those who die in original sin without being assigned to the hell of the damned. So it's basically the people who are not baptized, who died with the brand of the original sin, which is supposed to be what baptism washes away, right?
Yeah.
And it says here, however, limbo of the infants is not an official doctrine of the Catholic Church. Okay, because I guess people don't want to believe that, your unbaptized baby is walking around the floor in limbo.
Yeah. It was really kind of just a control measure for the church, right?
Yeah.
You better belong to us or this baby could end up in limbo.
In limbo. Right, exactly. And so basically, Sabrina came to the conclusion she has to go to Harvey's house and kill Tommy. Otherwise, Agatha's going to die.
Everybody's fighting over the chance to go kill Tommy. So the Weird Sisters have to go do it, and Zelda is going to go do it.
Yeah, and then finally, it's Harvey that's going to do it.
Yeah,
which is pretty heavy for the episode. I like it when we see things like this. What's going to happen now? Like they get stuck on the floor.
Didn't that happen in the movie Warlock?
Oh, with Julian Sands or something?
Yeah, that they were able to catch him by stabbing spikes through his footprints or something.
Yeah, that might be actually something from like witch history, I mean, I don't remember that because it's been a while since I've seen the Warlock movies. How many did they make? Like 2 or 3?
I only saw the first one.
Yeah. And so my question here is, when he traps them here, are they outside? I thought they were outside the Academy of Unseen Arts, but then
they're standing right outside of Harvey's house.
Yeah, right. So that's what I realized at the end. I was like, what? And nobody notices that they're there. And
yeah.
Nobody heard them scream.
Harvey's dad coming out and going, "Hey, what are you? Get off my property!"
Right.
We can't. We're stuck here.
And it's another one of those things where they use a throwaway line saying, "Where's your dad?" "Oh, he's in a bar."
Yeah. Like,
okay, your son just came back from the mines, like that big cave-in that happened like 2 days ago, and anyway. like I said, they just use Mr. Kinkle to be, you know, to whatever suits the story and whatever suits, the relationship between Harvey and Sabrina. And those woods, they have everything, right? I mean,
yeah, I was just thinking that too.
they have everything. They're like the subconscious of Greendale or whatever it's called.
Yeah, yeah, and only Mrs. Wardwell knows where all this stuff is. Like that witch's house in the middle of the woods.
Oh yeah, with the janky eye.
Yeah, right.
And it always seems like, have you ever been in like in the middle of the real deep woods? It doesn't look like that at all. There's lots of undergrowth and
it's hard to walk around.
This looks like they just went off a beaten path for like maybe 10 yards and everything's clean and the floor doesn't have any pine cones or anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not what the deep woods look like.
Yeah. I'm
not saying you have to walk around with a machete, but it can be pretty overgrown. Yeah. So she went into limbo, and all of a sudden...
Limbo is also a woods, I guess.
Yeah. I like seeing all those shadows of people walking past in the middle of the fog. Like, they barely look real. They look almost like computer-generated. It's like, hey, I don't know. I'm just walking around here.
Yeah.
And the thing I thought was completely useless was the fact that she's going to meet her mother here. And I don't know. It seemed like that they could have done without that because it doesn't really add anything to the story, and there's no emotion to that moment. It's just weird.
I think that's going to come back in episode 11.
Oh, okay. Because it seems like she might not have been the only baby that was born or something.
Yeah, what is she doing here? Because she had Sabrina baptized, so you'd think that she also would have been.
Okay, well, this is just her mother's ghost is confused. That's saying, why are you here? Because you were baptized.
Yeah.
And it is true. That's one of the reasons why they let her go into the Academy of Unseen Arts without signing the Book of the Beast.
Yeah.
Because there was that big moment where, Hilda revealed that she had been baptized. And
so there was a prior contract on her
and then
soul.
Zelda said there was a prior contract because Zelda and Sabrina's dad signed the Book of the Beast with Sabrina Spellman's name.
Yeah.
Promised her.
But then the baptism predates the contract, so it was null and void.
Right.
This Soul Eater is kind of scary. I almost wish we could see it.
Yeah, they just show the noise and stuff. I don't know if that was a decision again to save some money on production, but they could have shown us at least like a claw or something like.
Yeah. Yeah, and you almost get a little hope because in previously almost everything that Sabrina does is she does the right thing and she saves the day and in this case, no.
I love that Wardwell told her, just tug on the rope 3 times and I'll pull you out. And then she tugs on the rope, immediately snaps it.
Yeah.
This particular part here, it kind of reminds me a little bit of a bunch of things. Like one of them is Poltergeist, where they got the rope and the ball, and now you follow the rope and go into the light.
Yeah.
And another one is Supernatural, the one with the 2 brothers that investigate like supernatural events.
I just saw the first episode of that. I haven't seen any more.
Oh, okay. Because they also have like a portal that leads into like another plane of existence, and then they accidentally release a bunch of souls or demons out of it. So that's also like a gate in the middle of the woods. Which,
also, did you notice that she was still holding Harvey's arm when she came out? Like in Rawhead Rex.
Rawhead Rex.
Andy.
Or like in Jurassic Park, where Laura Dern says, feels an arm fall on her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here." Ah! And then it's like the Velociraptors ate the guy, and that was just a hand that fell on her. That's a funny moment. So what happens when you get eaten after you die? You die again? I guess you're just
Yeah,
taken out of existence.
I wanted to know that too. Are they like dead? Double dead.
Double dead. Hey, in the Ren and Stimpy episode, when you kill a ghost, he becomes alive again.
Is that right?
Yeah. You remember, I think it's the first episode where they have to spend the night in like a haunted house and the ghost is trying to scare them all the time. And then at the end, the ghost gets so frustrated that he can't scare them that he takes a gun and shoots himself in the head. And then he comes back to life.
Wow.
Those were wacky cartoons. But anyway, so not to detract from the heaviness of the moment here, but Sabrina really is coming to terms with the idea that she has to tell Harvey that she's a witch, and she's got to go there and kill Harvey's brother because he's just an empty husk.
Yeah, so I wonder if Mrs. Wardwell closed the portal just to give the beast enough time to kill Harvey's, or what's his name, Tommy's soul.
Yeah.
So that she would fail and be forced to tell her friends that she's a witch and then drive them away from her. It's a really complicated plot she has.
Yeah, and they think it's going to work, and it probably should. It's just that, for the sake of the show, even when she goes tell her friends that she's a witch, they're just going to be like, "Oh, you're still Sabrina. Oh, we love you."
Well, Harvey has a harder time with it.
Yeah. And did you see that exposition there that Wardwell did by herself in the middle of the woods? I mean, what was the point of that? Was she speaking to like her crow or something?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's very convenient to have the familiar so people can talk to them and explain what's going on. Yeah, and here's where her friends are also coming to terms with the idea that witches may be real.
Yeah.
Like Nana told me that.
Yeah. So why can't Susie come clean and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, I also talked to the ghost of my ancestor"? It's not that far out of the realm of possibility considering all the other stuff going on around them.
Yeah. I agree. Maybe she's, so used to keeping secrets that she doesn't want to give that out.
Yeah.
Maybe she feels like she has a bond with her ancestor because her ancestor was also like kind of a rough and tough pioneer lady and dressed, short hair, dressed like a man, wore pants. She seems. I thought at first that she had that Dorothea Putnam might have been a witch too, but then it seems like she wasn't. She was just very witch friendly.
Yeah, she seemed to know a lot about witches.
Yeah. Well, she's not evil, but she's in a coven that it's full of cannibals and stuff like that, I guess.
I know. There's a lot that's evil about the religion that she's a part of.
Yeah. Everything is evil. They're supposed to be like the church that follows Satan.
Yeah.
And so far, it hasn't painted them in a really good light that we can say, well, that'd be cool to be in that. That church doesn't do anything for you. It just makes your life miserable.
Yeah, and you kind of expect them to say, well, everybody's wrong about the devil, and he's really, it's not his fault, but he's really, the devil's kind of a jerk. There's not much about him that's sympathetic.
Yeah. Like that, this conversation, it's done well. I thought it was done well. I thought the reactions were genuine.
Yeah.
And it went the way I thought it was going to go. Like you said, Harvey has a harder time coming to terms with this.
Yeah.
Like if someone came over and said, "Hey, I just brought back someone who died," and you probably look at them a little funny and be like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
He kind of believes it, I guess, because of all the context of all the other weird things that have been going on with Sabrina and him that he never understood.
And he just said, "You've told me this before," so he's got kind of a memory of her saying this before, but she had made him forget.
Kent with a kiss.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what was up with that part?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Superman. I jump over buildings, and I can also make people forget things with a kiss.
Yeah, Superman was kind of like Mr. Spock in Star Trek. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, I have a power that can do this thing that will help us right now.
Yeah, yeah. That's like, we got to kill Tommy, Harvey. We got to do it.
Yeah.
But I got to say, the ending of this is really, really like heavy. And I was like, really? You're going to do it that way?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's
I was thinking,
horrible thing to put Harvey through.
yeah, well, all the ways of killing Tommy would have been horrible because it's going to be murder. But I was thinking maybe at this part that, either Sabrina would do some sort of spell and his body would just like take a last breath and die or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, nope, I got to do it. And he goes and grabs his rifle. I'm like, holy crap.
He grabs his rifle.
Yeah.
I got to take old Yeller in the back.
Yeah.
I honestly thought he was going to use a pillow or something because he was like knocked out cold by the potion. So I thought, is he going to grab a pillow and stick it over his brother's head?
Yeah. Well, that would have been a lot nicer than shooting him.
That nicer and still kind of like...
And not arouse suspicion.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be like, oh, he died in his sleep or whatever. But it's like, no, he's going to go and say, okay, Sabrina, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then he goes and gets his gun. And Sabrina is walking out of the house and you just hear like, bang.
Yeah.
And I was thinking,
Hey, are you there, did you say?
oh, yeah. I just told my dad that Tommy did it.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And I guess that's good enough for his dad and for the rest of the town and the police that we never see.
Yeah, exactly. There would have been all sorts of investigations about that. And, I think his dad would have a hard time believing that either because everybody knows Tommy didn't do anything. He just stood there.
Yeah. But, right, and he never really... I mean, he strangled the dad for a second, but other than that, he never really did anything in their presence that made it look like, Pet Sematary style evil or anything.
Yeah. That's true.
It would be... This is a little bit of a tough jump between, hey, there's something wrong with Tommy to, okay, I'll go kill him then. It seems like there should have been a little more time with Harvey and coming to terms with the that there's something really wrong with him or that he's going to be dangerous to be around.
Yeah, or that he might have, I don't know, used some of that stuff that you set up, like, oh, there's bite marks on the miners' bodies, so he's a ghoul now or something. Yeah, and maybe he could get out of the house and attack someone or something, and then he'd have to be killed. Mm-hmm. And make him attack someone who's going to mean anything for like Sabrina too. Like make him, I don't know, attack one of his colleagues in the school or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's not a good idea. But I was just thinking maybe make that pay off in some way. Yeah. But at the other end, I could see what they were going with this. They really want to break up the relationship, so this would be the perfect pretext to do it.
Yeah.
Because it involves like, okay, so I lied to you about being a witch. I brought your brother back and made him like a weird ghoul zombie, and now we have to kill your brother again. Yeah. So I'm ripping your heart, and there's no way we can have a relationship after this anymore.
Yeah.
But it would have made more sense to me. It seems like in this show, sometimes when you come up with a character like that, then at the end of the episode, he just dies.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like Uncle Jesse, he was possessed by a demon. They exorcised the demon, and then at the end, Mrs. Wardwell just kills him anyway.
So he's putting his fingerprints all over this gun.
That too. And see, there's like so many lamps on that hallway, and it's still dark.
Yeah.
What gives? Like, get better light bulbs. There's like 1, 2.
Yeah, right. And you can't even see the wall behind him. Dang. Yeah, this is so heavy. I mean, compared to what we've seen in the rest of the show. Hey, Jose, are you there? Okay, it sounds like you're back now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying this is so heavy now compared to the rest of this, what we've seen in the rest of this show up to this point.
So face. Yeah. Everybody's like, well, protagonist has to go through some heartaches and changes and come out the other side, right?
Yeah.
Another thing I was thinking about is like how the limbo reminds me of the Innovo in Imagica.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Right, because the oviates, will
Yeah.
get you if you're in there too long.
Right. So I was wondering, it's kind of, yeah, it's like this thing where you're in between dimensions and all of a sudden there's like these, either the psychopomps or the soul eaters, and they will come and attack you.
Yeah. So you can't just kind of hang around limbo. Well, and they did have to make it, some dangerous in some way to go in there.
Yeah. I actually started the other episode again, so I'm just going to go back.
I'm still
I
on the credits.
Yeah, I forgot to stop the credits.
Okay. Well, I'll let us know here when they're over.
Sure.
And then I think we should probably hang up the call and recall because
Yeah,
Skype
I
has
was
been
not
so
hearing.
terrible.
I was not hearing a thing that you were saying for like maybe a third of this. It was just like blah, 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 blah,
Oh
blah.
God.
I know. That's why I asked you to repeat that, and then you repeated it, and it was the same garbled mess.
Okay.
Let me see.
Now it's over. So we're back after some technical difficulties, ready for episode 10. Chapter 10 is The Witching Hour. And kind of for all intents and purposes was mostly the season finale. There was a holiday special that came after this one, but this was the end of the first run, and then I think a month went by, and then a couple of months maybe, I can't remember, and then they made episode 10.
A Christmas episode.
Or I mean the Christmas episode, which is 11.
Yeah. So this is Chapter 10, The Witching Hour. A revolutionary attack divides the witches and mortals of Greendale, and Sabrina braces for a life-changing choice. So this is what it's all been building up to, folks. This is it. This is the end of the first season. And Sabrina is going to go through some changes, which now I understand why in the credits, the opening credits, you see Sabrina, and some images look like her, some images she's different looking. And I'm not just talking about being the cartoon Sabrina. And it's like, now I understand a little better. It's like, oh, they were going to eventually, make her be reborn into like a full-fledged witch. So so she's going to have her hair is going to change and stuff. So that's interesting. I like the changes they did. And this is a pretty scary episode. I think for a season finale, it's pretty decent in terms of special effects and mood and atmosphere. It was really, really cool.
And so last time we did let it run through from one episode to the next, but this time because of our technical difficulties, we've got it paused again on the Netflix logo for Chapter 10.
Yes. Yeah. So we had to do a second take on the first episode.
Yeah.
And after that, we were still getting issues where sometimes I wouldn't be able to hear what Ryan was saying, and likewise. So that's why it may sound a little wonky, but I hope everything went through fine. And
and you'll hear it in the recording. My Skype just would go boop 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 boop, and then I'd have to wait because I know at that point you can't hear anything I'm saying, and I can't hear you.
Yeah, it's reconnecting. Yeah,
and then after 30 seconds, then it'd go like bloop, and then it's like, okay, now I think Jose's coming back.
This brings to the table an interesting question, which is And I know we heard this from David from Cinema Bluster. He said that now you can also do this with Discord. You could
Yeah.
actually do voice calls and record through Discord. So maybe that's something we can try for an episode in the future.
Yeah. I think we need to do a test first because I there was one time where I used Facebook Messenger and I didn't, something about my settings, it didn't record my voice. It only recorded the other person's, and so I had to recreate everything that I said in that little interview.
So we got time for one more Sabrina story, and as usual, let's do a countdown if you will.
Okay, and so we're paused on the Netflix logo, and we're going to restart it in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Yeah.
I had it stopped on the logo when it was still looking white.
So yeah, I mean, sometimes the Netflix logo has this weird like 80s look to it, but not in this show. So I don't understand what it is that makes them do that. Like on the Lucifer show, I think they do that.
Do you watch that show?
Yeah.
Okay. I know that they have it on Netflix now.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with that guy, Lucifer? Is he like the fallen angel? He's just doesn't have any powers or something?
He has some powers. He can make people confess their desires. And
I'm sorry about that.
Did
I sneeze?
Yeah.
I wanted to mute that. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I think we got me coughing on the last episode too. So
you were saying about Lucifer. So why is he in the mortal world?
He just got tired of being in hell, so he just left.
Oh, okay.
And
now he helps like a policeman figure out some crimes. Is that it?
It's something that happened, I think, in the Sandman series, right? Didn't Lucifer get tired of being in hell, so he just cut his wings off and decided to go to the mortal world? And so I think that this show is sort of following up. Well, what was his life like? And I'm a little ignorant because I didn't read much past the Sandman series, so maybe there's another series about Lucifer that this is based on. I have no idea. In the credits, it says based on characters by Neil Gaiman, but it doesn't say much more than that. So maybe it's like its own thing.
So this format for the episode is interesting because it's Miss Wardwell is telling us the story.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's got a little statue of the Red Death, which kind of reminds me of the Mask of the Red Death, the Edgar Allan Poe story.
Yeah, I suppose that's what it's supposed to be. I think.
Yeah.
It's the Red Angel of Death, and it also appears in that Phantom of the Opera when the Phantom shows up dressed as a Red Death.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, don't you hate it when that happens?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it seems like she's talking about these signals that announce that something bad's going to happen, right?
Yeah. Knitting her own death shroud.
Hmm.
I like Nana. That's too bad.
Yeah, I'm sorry to see her go. She's not going to make it through this episode. Again, spoilers. But, yeah. So she saw that zombie lady was actually one of the 13 witches, I think.
Yeah. Did she have a rope coming out of her, like she was dragging her noose behind her?
Oh, I didn't see that. I guess we'll have to. Whoever's watching, let us know in the comments. Was she holding a noose?
Yeah,
behind her?
It looked like there was a rope trailing behind her, and the only thing I could think of is maybe that's her noose.
Because they were hanged in the tree. Here's Nana putting her to rest, saying that even if your friend Sabrina is a witch, she's not the one who put the curse on us. And you know in your heart if your friend is good or bad.
Yeah.
Look at all those candles. That's totally a fire hazard.
Yeah, lit by a blind woman.
Yes. It's like, why do you need those candles, lady? It's too dark in there already.
Yeah.
Maybe Nana didn't pay the electric bill.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. The 13 are coming. So the story of the 13 is another one of those things that makes me wonder, why would you even want to be part of the Church of Night? Because they were a coven from the Church of Night, right?
Yeah.
But then the other churches turned their back on them and let them be sacrificed to appease like the bloodlust of the humans. And it's like, that's not what you do. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't you supposed to protect the other witches? You let them murder and torture and kill and hang 13 witches? Like, how many
Yeah.
witches were in the coven anyway?
Yeah, why not hide them or something, or make it
Right.
look like it, make it look like it was some natural thing that happened and not,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Break them out of jail.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like they care too much about the affairs of mortals, and they really don't care whether mortals live or die. So the only reason why they wouldn't kill a person is just because it would draw attention to their church.
Yeah.
But back then, once the cat's out of the bag, everybody knows that they're
Yeah.
witches. Why not just go to town and on the town?
Yeah. Right, and then go move somewhere else.
Yeah. I guess it has to be that particular woods that connects down to hell.
Yeah, and they're in the mine and
Yeah, of course. And Sabrina's like totally heartbroken,
Yeah.
and she doesn't want to go to school.
yeah.
All been there.
She's got a bunny.
That's right. And did you notice that at the bar, the coffee shop, Dr. Cerebus shop, they have a poster of Night of the Lepus, and then
Yeah.
you look at Faustus Blackwood's cane. The handle is a rabbit.
Yeah,
head
yeah.
with the ears making up the place where you grab it.
I wonder what
So
the
there's-
symbolism is of the rabbit.
Yeah.
Something moving the plot along, maybe like the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland.
Maybe, or maybe Sabrina's the rabbit,
Yeah,
There's a
Or
lot
like-
of ways to skin a rabbit.
yeah. It's like
Okay,
the
so-
wise owl in the Dark Ditties.
Right. Yeah, it appears on all those episodes.
Yeah,
So this is an interesting scene. Sometimes you see Zelda being mean to Sabrina, but this is one of those moments where she's mothering her, and
Yeah.
it really feels like a good solid scene that establishes a good connection here.
I really like all the moments that sort of humanize Zelda because she's so pious and so, embarrassed by her family, making her
Yeah.
look bad to the Church of Night. But then there are times when she legitimately, I like when she legitimately felt bad about the way she treated her sister, when they were in the academy.
Yeah, yeah. And when push comes to shove, sometimes she does take the side of her family.
Yeah.
Oh, this bathroom scene here with her friends. The truth's coming up.
Yeah. I like how Mrs. Wardwell is hidden on the toilet in in the bathroom.
Yeah. Looks like an old school too, because those tiles look really old and dingy.
Yeah. And they've got wooden stall doors with boards.
This seemed almost like a Japanese movie kind of scene where they say, "Are you a witch?" And then it's like, "Jan," and then she
Yeah.
just stares at the mirror for a while, and it's
Yeah.
like, I feel like they should have done a super high zoom on her face.
Yeah.
Nani? And then she would go back, "Baga." Like,
Baka-
what are you
baka
asking me?
yaro.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, you're stupid. I'm not
Yeah.
a witch."
Yeah.
Anyway. And so it's like, this all makes sense now. Okay. Yeah, how could you? Because this is nuts.
Yeah.
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 And I think she's desperately trying to make sure that her friends don't give up on her as well. And of course, being that who this is made for, the TV show, of course, they're going to be friends.
And Mrs. Wardwell is in the toilet going thinking oh, this is going to be great. They're going to reject her.
Yeah. Yeah, Mrs. Wardwell is telling the story to someone that we never see until the end of the episode. And
yeah.
it's a good twist at the end, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this episode really makes me want to see season 2, which I still haven't watched yet.
They're all hugging together.
Yeah.
They're here. They'll always be there for you. And Mrs. Wardwell is like, why don't you girls leave so I can take a dump? It's like, great. Now they're going to have like a life-affirming conversation out there. Yep, it didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, basically now what she says is since her friends were not being cleaved from her, then she's going to come up with some sort of threat to basically destroy the town and destroy her friends.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy, right? I mean, it's like, okay, well, if I can't make her, want to leave because her friends don't like her anymore, I'll just kill everybody.
Yeah. It's called the atomic option.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she's got to do a sacrifice, so she's just picked out.
Yeah.
And the name of that guy that she's going to take into the woods, his name is Mr. Loomis. So,
oh yeah. After
a reference
Halloween.
to Dr. Loomis. I wonder if season 2 they changed that statue.
Yeah. Maybe they'll have some big thing. They'll have some subplot where someone just desecrated our statue, and now we had to get a new one.
That would be a way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, she still doesn't like the Weird Sisters, even though they're kind of warming up to her. But by the end of this episode, she's going to join them, which is a big change out of nowhere, really completely out of nowhere. And she's even going to wink at Nick at the end. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It almost seems like she's not herself anymore.
Yeah, it's sort of, also... It's also kind of like sitcoms where, you want her and Harvey to be together, but they have to, have their problems and separate and on and off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's always been a theme in like shows for young adults or young girls or,
Uh-oh.
Baphomet's forehead is bleeding.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet that they cringe when they see this now. They're like, oh, God, we focused on that statue so much.
Yeah.
That cost us so much money.
Yeah, we never knew how much the settlement was, but
yeah,
it might have been a few $1 million because there was something about demanding $46 million or whatever it was for,
And since they release all the episodes at once, they couldn't just go back and they couldn't go like, okay, well, in the future episodes that we're working on now, we'll take that out. It's like, no, we did the whole season already.
Yeah. They can't go back and do like they did at Game of Thrones where they digitally took out the Starbucks coffee cup on top of the table.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, you didn't. There was like, I
heard about the Starbucks cup, but I didn't know they removed it.
They did. Now, if you go back to watch the episode, it's not there anymore. They digitally removed that scene, the cup in the scene, and now it's not there anymore.
If I was that woman, or if I was that guy, and I had some woman like holding me down, or holding my head and holding a knife
with
up in the air and saying stuff, I would be fighting to get out of there.
Yeah, he's pretty passive.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those things like we just know it's going to happen. He's going to be sacrificed, and it's like, the story just plods on like that. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. I feel like he should have tried to go away or something. Maybe she could have cast a spell of entrapment or whatever, and that way he would be standing there on the ground. But he just stays there and lets himself be murdered.
Yeah.
These witches are scary.
They are.
We saw them before when Sabrina joined the Academy of Unseen Arts, right? Where she meets all the children around that tree, and then they tell, that's really good.
Cerberus books.
Of course, she's developing an attraction to Dr. Cerebus.
Isn't there something about him at the end of this show that there's like he's not what he seems?
Exactly, yeah. He blinks and his eyes turn demonic, and then he blinks again and they go back to being normal.
Yeah. Nobody's just a regular person in this show.
Yeah. There has to be something.
Yeah.
Her friend has the cunning, the other friend sees ghosts and
then her boyfriend is a part of a witch hunter family.
Yep. So this is the witches are out, the 13, and they want revenge. So they're coming over here to confront Faustus Blackwood in his chapel.
She's like, my book.
Yeah, the book's just burst into flames.
Yeah.
I thought the 13 were just going to go brew some tea and pet some cats, you know?
Yeah, right.
Instead, no, they're going to kill like every like firstborn in the city, and then they're going to bring like death. Death's going to reign on the city and all that. So.
Like, let's get revenge on the people who weren't even alive when we did this. They're like Freddy Krueger.
And, you know, one question is, where are they? I mean, because it seems like, did they just walk from the tree to like Susie Putnam's backyard? Because we saw them walking around the city and we see them shots of them walking around, but here they are, all 13.
Yeah.
In Susie's backyard. So I guess they made their way there, I guess.
But then it seems like after this, they kind of spread out and different people are seeing different witches.
Yeah. So it turns out that Dorothea Putnam, her ancestor, was the person who put them on a boat and took them to America when nobody else wanted anything to do with the witches. And then she cut them down from the tree where they were hanged and buried them in her farm. And it's kind of weird that nobody remembers that, because it feels like there should be some sort of memory about that in the city.
Yeah, right. Like in Salem, they totally remember all the the stuff that they did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all in the history books.
Doesn't seem like Dorothea is so far away from this generation. Seems like she might have maybe 150 years, something like that. Ah, this is cool. This is a cool shot. This is a good shot here. When Luke and Ambrose go into the woods to make out, and then they see the circle of resurrected witches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ambrose is like, hey, let's go chill. Maybe they're doing a drum circle. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like, Luke is like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And so that little image that he's going to fish out of the fire that went out, that's supposed to be the Red Death, the angel of Red Angel of Death. I think that's kind of a long name. It's amazing how that city has managed to stand for so long when they have so many powerful like witches that could have exercised some sort of revenge.
Yeah.
Damn, she's freaky.
Yeah.
There was one funny thing that Prudence told Sabrina in the school that we missed. It was that because everybody's heard of like how she failed to resurrect the guy, and then Prudence walks by and she says, "Thoughts and prayers."
Yeah.
Isn't that how the mortals do it?
Yeah.
It's like that. That was pretty sassy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Nick explaining that the witches don't love because their Dark Lord is a jealous lord, so he wants all the love to be just given to him.
Yeah. So all the relationships that they have to be meaningless.
And here's a crossover moment where they talk about Riverdale's funeral
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
So, land of the Archie.
Yeah. Yeah, so there is a Riverdale show, but I haven't watched any of it.
Yeah, me neither.
I wonder if any of these characters cross over into the Riverdale show. I know it doesn't seem to work the other way, but
Yeah. Maybe in season 2, I don't know.
yeah.
And that school library is a place where they can do anything. They can eat a sandwich, they can listen to music, they can just draw.
They can have meetings right in the middle of the library.
Yeah. The Wicca.
Yeah.
Wicca meetings. Okay, so it seems like things are okay, but it's like, oh, yeah, then he hits her with this one. Every time I look at you, I just think of my dead brother.
Yeah.
Like, yep. And here she comes. She's just astral projected.
Yeah.
Because you hear that little whooshing sound on
Yeah.
the subtitles, like wind whooshes, and then someone
Yeah.
appears.
Yeah, I could have driven a car here, but I thought I'd just astral project instead.
Yeah. There she goes. Wind whooshes, and she disappears. And he's like, well, I guess that's normal now. Yeah, no kidding, dude. Yep, our Coven. He has a lot to learn.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of like slow moments in this, but then when the action kicks in, it's going to be amazing.
It's like, yeah, it turns into kind of a horror movie.
I like that he's kind of exercising his inner demons by drawing like a zombie picture like his dead brother.
Yeah.
So here's my question. Was Mrs. Wardwell, didn't she say she belonged to a different coven, but then she's here with all these people?
Yeah.
I guess it's just still part of the Church of Night. There must have been several covens that attend these meetings, so that's probably
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I guess she wouldn't have any other one to go to.
Yeah. And again, Blackwood is totally missing the point of what's going on.
Yeah. He just always makes up whatever the will of God, the will of Satan is just whatever's convenient
Yeah.
for him.
Yes. And now here he comes to deliver the message. The Crimson Avenger. So they call this thing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
The Crimson Avenger, the Angel of Death, the Red Angel of Death. Yep. When I looked at that, it looked like Napoleon riding a horse.
Yeah.
Firstborns of Greendale, both mortal and which will perish.
Yeah.
So that means Sabrina would die. Wait, so if Sabrina died, I mean, I know that obviously Mrs. Wardwell doesn't want Sabrina to die. She's just trying to trigger like an event that will put her in the position. It's like, if you don't do this, you will die. But isn't that like also which firstborns would be killed? So
Yeah.
if she didn't sign, basically this was going to wipe out the city off the map, and it was also going to damage her own coven.
It's confusing, right? Like Passover was only meant for children, not like, but adults can be firstborn too.
Right. Yes. So,
Yeah, I don't understand either.
and it wouldn't be just children, because at one point, Nick asks Harvey, "Is your dad a firstborn? Because if he is, he's going to die." So it's like, yeah, that would be like most people,
Yeah.
a lot of people. At least when God released that red plague thing, the Ten Commandments, you had to mark the blood of the lamb on your door, otherwise your
Yeah.
firstborn was going to be killed.
Yeah.
So that was just the children, because, yeah. So here's the explanation why the 13 were hanged. Yeah, including the 13. So, and while they sat in their cell, the other witches met and decided the 13 would be sacrificed. But that doesn't make any sense. What prevented that? What? Why would that sacrifice satisfy the humans so they wouldn't look for more witches when there were more witches and probably a lot more, right?
Maybe they must
So-
have convinced them that those were the witches.
Yeah, I guess. So basically, they didn't do a thing to protect their coven.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh well, they got caught. Too bad. Let's let them torture them and kill them." Yeah. So basically, there's no. This is supposed to be such unity, and it's like our
Yeah.
coven and all that. But then it's like, oh, someone got caught. Oh well.
Well,
I guess we'll.
and it's also telling us that these witches aren't as old as the whatever happened in the 1600s, or none of them. It's they're talking about, yeah, and none of us were there. It was our ancestors. But it's like, well, wait, I thought you guys were immortal. How old? How old is old for one of these witches?
Yeah, probably 1700s. But sometimes they make these jokes in the thing, like, "Oh yeah, that guy, I met him," and it's like,
Yeah.
well, what do you mean you met him? And then I realize, oh yeah, so they're supposed to be immortal.
Yeah.
They live a long time, but it seems like they should have lived long enough to be there when these Greendale witches were killed, because,
or at least some of them, right? I mean, I think
Yeah.
Blackwood dresses like he's from the 1800s.
yeah, and America, didn't have settlers. I mean, I would imagine that Greendale would be probably going as far back as maybe the late 1700s, but not too much far back from that.
Yeah.
And we know that Ambrose has been on house arrest with his two aunts for like 75 years at least.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're definitely like 150 plus years old.
Yeah. Yeah, which is kind of tricky because so her father who knows how old her father was.
So the reason they're going to find to scare everybody into going into a place where everybody can be protected in Greendale is they're summoning a tornado. And
Yeah.
of course, the tornado shelter is in the basement of the high school. And
Yeah.
that's the place where they want to protect everybody. But, there's always going to be people who don't want to leave their house, right?
Well, and the high school is a set piece that they use constantly. So
Right.
yeah.
And you see this wind thing here has a little witch on top.
Yeah. Like, well,
I mean-
we can't tell them about a witch warning, so we're going to create a tornado warning.
Yeah. It's like, for a city that had such a story of looking for witches, it looks like their house has all the markings of being a witch house.
Yeah.
Including a freaking witch in the windmill or whatever that is.
Yeah. And
What do you call that thing that points to where the wind is blowing?
and upside down crosses in the cemetery right in front of their house.
Yeah. And like weird things on the walls. When Balky says,
Yeah.
"I'm engorged with excitement," it's like, dude.
Yeah.
And why is she just standing there back to back with him?
She looks so mad.
Yeah. It's like, I just want to like eat this guy up.
I think she's also mad because they're finding a way to escape, and she wants them all to die.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good catch there. So everybody's hunkered down, and I wonder why. What would be the limits of the Red Angel of Death?
Yeah.
So does he just ride across the city limits? Then he disappears.
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal here? How long? I know he has to stay just for like an hour,
right?
Which is the witching hour.
So the people like in the unincorporated county outside of the town, they're safe.
Right.
I don't know.
I guess. Yeah, probably. Be like, oops, I've crossed the county line. I guess I can't go that way.
Yeah.
It's very apocalyptic, a very apocalyptic threat, but a very localized threat, which makes it strange. Like, okay, so only these people.
This town seems like almost a dream town. It's like, they talk about Riverdale, but it's like their world is so small.
Yeah, so far all we've seen is the houses of her friends, the Harvey's house, Mrs. Wardwell's house,
and the bookstore.
The bookstore.
And the school.
Yeah. That's basically it. And the Academy of Unseen Arts.
Yeah. Which exists in an old broken down train station in the woods.
And I'm pretty sure that's probably like all those sets are built right next to each other.
Yeah.
It's probably like you walk out of that room, you're probably going into like the attic for Ambrose or whatever. And it's, yeah. Of course, Nana Ruth doesn't want to go. Of course. Aunt Nana says she survived Katrina, so she's going to sit this one out.
Yeah.
Well, she knows there's no point. She knows the 13 are coming. And a man dressed in a red on a white horse. Yeah.
What about to save the life of your granddaughter?
Right. I mean, I think she just doesn't believe that there's any salvation coming.
Yeah.
So. But it's kind of a fatalistic position to take, right?
It's like when you see in movies when people can see the future, but they can't see past their own death.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't know what's going to happen after that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that happened in like Doctor Strange, and I think there's been other movies and stuff where that's happened.
Yeah, yeah. Like the other guy just said everybody was accounted for except for the Spellmans. And yet, here's Nick.
Yeah, he must have left after that.
Yeah, probably. But I would imagine, he just does whatever Sabrina asks him to do. He doesn't even question it. It's like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think about that earlier theory that he might be an aspect of the Dark Lord?
It is possible, just because the name Nick Scratch and all that. And he does seem to know a lot about everything, and he shows up always at the right time.
Yeah.
And I think he might be, like we're going to find out at the end of the episode, that maybe Satan is grooming not Lilith to be his queen, but Sabrina.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird and kind of like unsettling.
Right.
So maybe he is Nick Scratch. Maybe he's trying to get closer to her and become her boyfriend. I don't know.
But the different aspects of him then would be so different from each other, because Nicholas Scratch is a nice guy and he's helpful, and the Dark Lord, when he possessed the principal, and he was like yelling and threatening and stuff.
Yeah, he was. That was the Dark Lord's anger.
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. I'm just a little sick today.
Oh yeah. No, and I'm tired too. So, but
Allergies are killing me.
Oh,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
I like the scene they set up for Susie. The way that she takes agency.
That's cool.
Give us Buffy.
Yeah, there are some aspects of this show that are a little bit like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, huh?
Yeah. Like, oh, it's a chosen one who's a girl and she's got powers, or she fights vampires, or in this case is a witch, and her friends are going to help her, and she's got a guide, and it always takes place in the high school.
Yeah, in that TV show, she really didn't fight vampires that much. It was all plots and with demons and all kinds of stuff.
So Lady Blackwood has decided to give birth on her 4th trimester.
Yeah.
And so she's got the twins ready to pop.
Yeah.
And you see that painting by Clive Barker on the office of Faustus. Yeah, that was cool. So this is just all made to make the situation worse and force Sabrina to find a different solution. Because if they didn't swipe these two characters like they did, like Luke steals Ambrose and teleports him into the academy.
Yeah.
And Faustus, of course, Lady Blackwood is in labor. We have to get Zelda, and she teleported into the academy. And then they just leave Hilda and Sabrina.
Yeah.
And so we know that they're not going to be able to protect the town people. So. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I noticed that the tornado doesn't seem to be doing a lot of damage anyway. So it doesn't seem like a really bad tornado.
Yeah. Especially
because they're going to go in the middle of the woods and there's going to be the book there and some candles lit. And I'm like, isn't there a tornado supposed to be going on?
Yeah.
People have gone to the whole town has been evacuated into a shelter. I would imagine outside it should be a lot worse than it is.
Yeah.
I thought the cat was going to be part of the circle.
Yeah.
That's a really cute cat, by the way.
I forget what Mrs. Wardwell's idea was. I was kind of nodding off when I was trying to watch this last night because it was from 2 to 3 in the morning.
Her idea was that it's not going to be enough to be in the defensive, that they have to go into the offensive, so they have to attack.
Oh.
They have to attack the witches to make them go away. Path of Night.
Oh, yeah. So I guess they must be far enough away that the tornado's not there, huh?
Yeah, you even see the mist floating. The mist is floating really slowly. It's like, there's a tornado going on.
Yeah.
And I do have to bring this up, which is, for some reason, okay, so Wardwell's thing is that if you want to save your friends, you're going to have to sign the Book of the Beast so you can get the witch powers in full.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a half victory for her, isn't it? Because she wanted to kill the whole town to separate her, but it's like, well, maybe I can just get her to sign the book, and that's good. That should be good enough.
Yeah, but my point was, so she gets the powers when she signs it, and she's the one who's going to go to the witches and I cast you out and blah, blah. It seems like it's taking the entire coven just to keep them at bay. And then all of a sudden just Sabrina writes her name in the book and she gets powers, which are the powers that all the other witches in her coven have. Yeah. And so she gets them by herself.
Well, she had a whole bunch of power already. I mean, she's really powerful even without signing the book. So maybe that just gives her more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or, she's complicit in all of this. So it would be easy to make it go away, maybe.
Yeah, it seems like if it was going to be that easy for a full-blown witch to get rid of these like resurrected witches, why doesn't Faustus Blackwood, instead of having to huddle up the entire coven and
Yeah.
risk getting discovered because, oh, did you see that Greendale?
Yeah.
Let it cast a spell on you.
Oh,
So, I don't know. It feels like the situation is just going on just because they want her to sign the book.
yeah. Right. So maybe the extra power that she has is sort of an illusion, or she's being tricked.
And also, Blackwood doesn't seem to know anything about what Wardwell is doing.
Yeah. He's kind of a dupe, I think, in this. He seems like a figurehead.
Yeah. It is your destiny.
Yeah. No.
You're the chosen one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll never
together-
join you.
We will rule this coven like sister and sister.
Yeah. Together we can overthrow Father Blackwood.
Yeah. I'll sign. There we go. It took her 10 episodes.
Did Mrs. Wardwell just disappear when she said she would sign?
She did. And then you get the Dark Lord. So I have no idea where she went. She just kind of, Dragon Balled herself out of the scene.
Yeah.
When they go like chicks and they disappear and then they reappear behind the other enemy.
I think I've only watched that show one time in Japan.
Really? Oh, you're not familiar with Dragon Ball?
Not much.
Okay.
It was on when kindergarten got out, so I thought it was a show for babies.
Oh, no. Oh, that was awful. Like the Dark Lord's claw just sliced her.
Yeah, I bet nobody else got this kind of personal service when they signed the book.
Yeah, it's the Dark Lord's personal touch.
Yeah.
And he's basically just a robed guy with a goat head. And I like it how most people never look at him because probably if you look at the devil, you're probably going to get crazy or freak out or something. It might be too much.
Or die.
It's like she's seeing her life flash in front of her eyes.
Yeah, which is a nice way to end the season, too.
Yeah. It looks like a bone pen.
Yeah, and this also really kind of ups the ante for season 2.
Oh, I remember that sleep demon and the
Yeah.
spiders. Yeah. It sure takes her a while
Yeah.
to sign that name.
Ugh. Jeez.
That was totally out of character.
Yeah.
Oh, here's that thing you were talking about. They took my baby. They told me she had died.
Yeah, right. So there's a plot that we're just barely, finding out about.
She didn't say that in the scene where she was in limbo. She said something else, and here she's remembering it differently, I think.
Yeah. So was Sabrina only a baby when her parents died in the plane crash?
Yeah, and then she says, they told me you died after you were baptized. And it's like she didn't say that at the scene when they met in limbo. So maybe it's an
Yeah.
expanded scene.
Yeah.
Like, yes, she's got the power now. She's going to raise up her magic wand and say the words, I have the power.
Yeah. Right. Sword of Omen, give me sight beyond sight.
Did we just go from a He-Man reference to a
To a
Thundercats?
Thundercats. Yeah.
That's cool. The only thing I didn't like about Thundercats is that Mum-Ra was a very boring villain. He always did the same things over and over.
And he had a comedic sidekick that was a dog mummy. It was really weird.
Yeah. Oh, here's she's getting a vision of how she can defeat the witches at the hanging tree with fire.
Burn them?
Yep. So a witch is about to burn another witch. So
Yeah.
that doesn't make much sense to me, but fine.
Yeah. So maybe she's getting a little bit of extra attention from the Dark Lord and extra power that maybe somebody else, like Father Blackwood, wouldn't have gotten.
Yeah, the only catch is that when he calls, you have to do whatever he says. So I'm sure that's going to make for very, very convoluted things in season 2.
There are a lot of people there right now, a lot of witnesses, right? I mean, how could she possibly think that she could get away with this?
And not just that, but it's like the mom is there. Well, the mom dies, but Prudence was there. And why is Prudence going along with this? I'm just not sure. Maybe that's how Prudence also got born and thought to be an orphan, because maybe if you're a warlock and your firstborn is a girl, maybe they just get rid of her, like they would do in.
So maybe Prudence wouldn't want her sister to get killed either. So maybe that's why she would go along with it.
Yeah, yeah. And in the meantime, we still have Susie facing down the witch.
Yeah.
I think these things aren't happening all at the same time. They're just showing us in different sequence because otherwise, when you think about the time it takes for Mrs. Hardwell to go from the school into the middle of the woods and do all that stuff with Sabrina and then come back here, that scene with the witch and Susie was just,
just a few seconds. Yeah.
Just a few seconds. Yeah. So. Here he comes. Yeah, she can even hear the
And the door's still standing open. Close the door. Right? Because they had said that the witches were there to kick open the doors, so that the angel of death could get in and take people.
Right.
So if they can keep the doors closed, then the
I just felt also like the part where Sabrina was warning Harvey to leave because it wasn't a tornado that was coming. It was something more serious.
Yeah.
And then he just keeps on saying, no, I'm going to stay, and it's like, just tell him if you stay, you die.
Yeah.
There's a coven of resurrected witches coming to kill people.
Yeah.
Like, just, and what happened to his dad who was at the bar? Wasn't his dad at the bar or something?
Right, yeah, and he just said his dad was a firstborn son, so...
Right.
I guess... I don't remember if his dad's going to get killed.
I don't think it does, no. I think he just doesn't appear at all. They just... Like I said, sometimes when they want to make us feel sorry for Harvey, then they bring his dad. And then in other scenes where he should be there, it's like, it's midnight.
Yeah, right.
It's past midnight, actually. Yeah. It's probably between midnight and 1 a.m.
And there's a tornado warning. Wouldn't the bars be closed?
Right, exactly.
Oh, they have an arcade game. I can't figure out what that is, though.
In the school?
Is it back there behind the door? Maybe it's not an arcade game.
That'd be weird for an arcade game to be in a school hallway, but I guess I've seen weirder stuff.
Oh, no, it's not. It's just their trophy case.
Yeah.
It was just super blurry because being in the background.
Yeah, and the lights are like blinking.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the guy from the Witching Hour. Dark Diddy's reference there.
Oh, yeah, right. That should be coming out like next month, maybe, right?
I think so. They already put out the poster for that.
Yeah.
I like that the Red Death is like this red mist that comes up.
Yeah.
She says that like, burned.
Yeah.
Hellfire. So Satan is basically not just turning his back on these witches, but he's actually like destroying them. Yep. And she's just going to have these powers out of nowhere now because she signed. That's really neat, though. That blue flame.
Yeah, that is cool. That's what you get for not believing me.
Yep. I like the blue fire. I thought the hellfire would be like more like red or something,
Yeah.
but the blue one is
That's cool.
very, very aesthetic. I have no idea what you're saying here in Latin. I don't even know if this is correct. If anybody out there knows what she's saying in Latin, just put a comment on the comment section. Let us know.
Devora must be devour, right?
Yeah, it's probably something about, make the fire devour these creatures or something. So she did it. Yay.
And she's even burning the tree.
Yeah. It's like, that tree's about to fall on you. You better move.
Like, I only gave you 10 seconds to believe me, and then I'm setting you on fire.
And then their ashes just fall from the sky. Like,
so are they, like, destroyed now? Like, their souls are destroyed, or they just go to hell, or...
Good question. I think they were just destroyed. They were just taken out of existence. And, okay, so I understand. So they say, well, after the witches were gone, the Red Angel also disappeared because they had summoned him.
Yeah.
But I feel like there should have been, like, they talk about this balance of stuff, and you summon something, you have to, like, deal with it. But in here, it's like, okay, let's just give him an out for the episode.
He was also supposed to, when he was summoned, it was only for 1 hour, only for the witching hour, but 2 nights. And then, so this was the first night, and the witching hour was over, so he would have left anyway, and then he would have come back the next night.
And Harvey is kind of jealous of Nick. He's like, how do you know her? Cool. So she loves you, mortal.
Yeah.
I just don't get the way that they call humans mortals. They could call us, like, I don't know, come up with something else, but then it would be like the Muggles, you know, you come up with a word to describe people who are not witches.
Or what's the Clive Barker word for cuckoos, right?
A cuckoo, yeah. The kingdom of the cuckoo. And here he is. So twins, right? I mean, she had twins. She's been checking the twins for like 12 months now. And all of a sudden it's like, well, one of your sons absorbed the other one. It's like, what?
Yeah.
That's such a weird excuse that she comes up and he's like, oh, okay. Well,
and he says,
like it should.
As it should be.
Yeah.
So all this time he had believed they were twin brothers, but is it the actual case is that one was a girl and one was a boy?
Yes.
So how could she have made that mistake or did she just lie the first time?
That's a good question. I don't know if she said that they were 2 boys. She just said they were twins, right?
I thought she said twin boys.
I remember him saying something about that, like, 2 boys, because he always wanted a boy. So I think you're right.
But maybe she lied.
She might have. I don't know.
Yeah, when she had that 2-headed snail, she said twin boys, I think.
Yes. Oh, my God. I just want to tell that guy to, like, cut his nails.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, and here's Nana. At first, when I saw this, I was like, okay, so Nana's sleeping. She made it. And then she pulls the blanket all the way up her face, and I'm like, oh, no, get out of here.
Yeah. That's her death shroud that she was knitting.
Yeah, that's what they foreshadowed at the beginning.
She knitted that really fast.
This show does go through a lot of its secondary characters really, really fast.
Yeah. Yeah, Tommy was a really good guy, and it's kind of sad that he's gone. So I wonder if Harvey's father was killed. I don't remember from this point on. Do we see him?
No, I don't think so. But I think that this whole thing, nobody died except for maybe Nana.
Yeah.
And Lady Blackwood.
And that football player that she sacrificed.
Yeah, and Hilda's kissing Mr. Dr. Cerebus.
Yeah.
So she's got a love interest. But like you said, there's something weird about his eyes here. He's walking back, and then he's going to blink. His eyes are going to go like all demon-like. There he is, right here. And then he just blinks again, and he's normal.
Yeah, almost like he's possessed maybe, and he doesn't know it. That's really hard to gauge, because he seems like really, really ignorant of what's going on around him. But he could be putting on an act.
Yeah, I thought he might be like demon possessed or actually be a demon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where Zelda tells her plan that, hey, I stole a baby from Faustus Blackwood, what passes for our Pope.
She says,
like,
huh? You did what now?
This seems really out of character for Zelda.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm starting to wonder what is this baby going to do in season 2? Is it going to become a part of the show?
Yeah, me too. I'm wondering. Of course, probably everybody out there listening to us has seen season 2 already, and we're here in the dark because we're waiting till we get done with this first.
Hilda's like, this is not my problem. This is up to you. She's like, I'm moving out. She's like, what?
Yeah.
Out of the bedroom.
Yeah. It's a big step for her, I guess. After 100 years of being in the same bedroom with you, I think I want to get my own room.
Right. And how would nobody notice that they'd be raising a baby? And wouldn't that, we'll see. I'm sure that Faustus Blackwood's relation with Zelda is going to go into a new dynamic now that there's no wife there to get in the way. But I don't understand why Zelda couldn't just tell Blackwood, hey, you had a girl and a boy, here's your boy, and now your wife is dead. Maybe we can continue to have a relationship and raise both kids.
And so he gathered up all the warlocks in the whole school and just so they could, go on and about how it's a boy.
Yeah. But of course she had to lie, and now that she lied, she's caught in the lie, and she, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. See,
this is it. So she changed her hair. Now all of a sudden she's got white hair, and it's a different hairdo. And it looks more like what they show in the credits in the beginning.
Yeah.
I like it. I like this new hairdo.
Yeah. So, then the question is she going to be changed? Like, is her personality going to be changed? And they kind of hint that maybe it is with the ending here, but who knows? I mean, she also was kind of strutting with them when they were scaring those boys at the mine.
She did, yeah. Yeah, the beginning. I don't know. I mean, at the end, I think once you sign the Book of the Beast, it probably the idea of the commitment that you have to do probably is weighing on her, and she's like, well, maybe I signed the book, now I have to give up my human life. And I think she's just concerned that her friends and her boyfriend might get hurt. So I'm wondering if she's going to cut ties with her human life permanently for now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wonder if this show is going to be like other shows where like a summer has gone by, when they go between.
Uh-huh.
Of course, they have a Christmas special. I don't know.
They do. I saw a little bit of the Christmas special, and I noticed that they do that thing where when the character was young, they just look like a tiny version of themselves, but like as kids, and they dress the same and everything. Like Sabrina's got a tiny red jacket, and she's got.
I watched that when it came out, but I'm not remembering anything about it. But we'll do that one too as our final Sabrina episode for this year.
Absolutely. Oh, and here's Wardwell finishing the story, because this is all her telling the story to an invisible character sitting with his back turned to us.
Yeah, and now we see that it is.
Principal Balky.
Yeah, Balky Bartakamus.
I'm an amazing teacher, Principal Hawthorne. Of course you are. Don't be ridiculous.
Time to do the happy dance.
Oh, here's the cool part. Who the hell are you, lady?
Yeah. Yeah, so they killed off Nana, and now they're killing off Principal Blackwell. No, what is his name?
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne. There we go. Yeah, like Nathaniel Hawthorne. And this is the first reveal that she's Lilith, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been talking about her as Lilith a bunch of times, but I think it's just because someone told me that she was Lilith.
Yeah,
I think it was you.
Yeah, I probably did.
And this part where she's going to peel off her face is just nuts.
Yeah.
Because she wants to be, rule hell with a crown and a throne by the side of the Dark Lord.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, I guess you didn't have that already? I don't know.
I'm just an actor chappie.
Yeah. It's like Narcisse.
Yeah, like the big reveal.
Yeah.
She's the future queen of hell.
Wow.
Jump.
Yeah.
And then the crow is like, hey, I want some leftovers here. Mm-hmm. That's totally what it seems.
He says, forgive me, madam. It's like, no, I don't think she's going to forgive you.
Yeah. So there you go. I didn't expect that to happen, but I was like, wow.
So now that little goblin body should be like sticking out of the bird.
Yeah, because he's a familiar. Yeah. So I think she didn't like the question that he asked her, and then she kind of snapped his spine.
Yeah. I wonder, I didn't know, can witches do that? Do they just get a new familiar after that?
Oh, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
It seems like they have a lot of those over at the Academy of Unseen Arts.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what are these goblins? Do they come up from hell? Are they like creatures of the earth? Like, what other creatures are there? Oh, here's this part where she's like walking with the weird sisters. Yeah. And she wears the same collar as she has, as they have. And I'm like,
she did wear that same outfit, I think, when they were scaring those boys at the mine too.
Yeah. And like she winks her eye at like Nick. It's like, what's going on? Yeah. It seems like she became someone else really quickly. I didn't like that. Anyway, I guess they're just setting the stage for like the new chilling adventures of Sabrina season 2.
Yeah. Anyway, by Bronson Pinchot, who was just in the credits there. Presumably, we don't know.
The principal?
Yeah, we don't know if the actor is going to be gone because he might be used for, he might be supplanted by the Dark Lord, or who knows.
Yeah, because he was possessed by the Dark Lord at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah. So the actor may come back even if she ate him, right? She said, I didn't leave you any leftovers. Yeah.
I think she did the same to Mrs. Wardwell.
Yeah.
The original one.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was
skin.
Yeah. So that was the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Still have one more episode to go. It's called A Midwinter's Tale.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's kind of wouldn't call it Christmas, it's a winter solstice, because Christmas is what the fake church calls it, right?
That's right. The false god.
False god.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be cool. And so what else is coming up?
We'll be after that. We'll be talking about Abarat, Days of Magic, Nights of War, and news episodes. And we'll next episode we're gonna do news and finish up the Duels of Blood, and we'll see who wins between Onaka and Rachel.
Yeah. I know that there are people out there voting hard for Onaka and Rachel. I'm going to vote on that round myself. And remember, you can vote once every 12 hours. So get that button clicking there.
Yep. And then that'll be the end of that. And then I think after Abarat, we were thinking about either doing the Harrowers comic series or going into the movie commentaries from the A to Z of horror.
Sure. Yeah, that's something we can put up on the Facebook page and get some feedback as well from our listeners.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we can still explore in the Barkerverse.
Yeah. Yeah, so looking forward to that. All right. Well, in this podcast having no beginning will have no end. Oh my God! I only slept for 3 hours.
Were you contemplating saying this commentary having no beginning will have no end?
No, I just lost my train of thought mid-sentence.
I think you're under a spell, Ryan.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye. You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com. where we have news, features, reviews, and links to all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts and every other place you can find podcasts. Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial, podcast, and news blog that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.